guys, it's Yolanda, the happy housewife. And all week we have been talking about what do I do all day, or what do typical stay at home moms do all day. So every day we've kind of visited one facet of my week, but today I've got a surprise for you guys. I brought my husband along for the ride today. Okay, so this is the guy that makes it all possible, right? Yay! But say hi. But I brought him on with me because I wanted to talk to you guys who are specifically thinking about doing this, or as my pastor says, kind of kicking the tires on being a stay-at-home mom or dad. And I just wanted to get his perspective on it, so that you can see that this is a joint thing. We do this by agreement, right? So that's the first thing. We do this by agreement. We do this with intentionality. I've been talking about intentionality this week. And so I kind of wanted you guys to hear from him. No, he's not holding me prisoner. He doesn't make me do this. I am not, under his feet or some underling 10 steps behind him. I do this because I want to, I love it, and we're in agreement. So I kind of wanted to just ask you, Johnny, like, how did this can you tell my fans or my viewers how this started? Like, where did the desire come from for you to suggest to me about being a stay-at-home mom?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is coming from my upbringing. My maternal grandmother, although she worked for some time when I was a youth, there was a lot of time I know that she did stay at home from talking with my mother and my aunts. And so just hearing those stories and understanding what that meant for them to have their mother in the home, I said, hey, whenever I have a family, if I'm afforded the opportunity, we like nice things, you look at our clothes, but if I'm afforded the opportunity to do so, I would have liked for my wife to stay home, to be there for our children in the time of when they need them the most, or getting ready for going to school, and when time comes home, when they come home from school. And so that's where the desire really started, and that was the reason why I wanted it. But we had a lot of discussion about, hey, if you want to, she had a career when I met her. I said, if you want to maintain that career, by all means, so do it. I told her what my desires were, but I never pushed it that heavily on her. But over time, life itself kind of forced us into that early aspect where when we moved to a different state, and then we had a daughter that was getting ready to go into preschool, and preschool, but it was ready to go into the daycare system. And we looked at the cost of what she was going to make on her job versus what the cost for daycare was, and we would have been bringing home pennies at that point. I said, well, if you're willing to at this point, why not give it a try and let's see? And it spawned, 20 years now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I, to thank you for that, and to speak to that, for guys or women, if your husband is going to take on the role of being a stay-at-home dad, and you're going to go to work and be, the breadwinner per se, I would say that part of the best advice I can give is don't make the other person feel less than. So because I'm a stay-at-home mom, my job and my value in this home is just as his is valuable, right? We do different things, but we work together as a unit. Like, he couldn't do what he does without me, and I can't do what I do without him. And so I think that partnership and that understanding has made this not feel burdensome. But if there's a put down in any way, that's going to make somebody feel bad or feel resentful. Like, I could say, well, you're never home, you don't deal with the hard stuff, you don't deal with the kids, and that could make him feel put upon. And then the same with me, well, you're home all day, so I think that, again, it goes back to that agreement, that intentionality, but then you have that respect piece. He respects what I do, and he understands and makes me feel like I bring value to the table. So I wanted to thank you for that publicly. All right. But then also, I think that you have to be a good provider. I mean, this is not for the faint at heart, I've been saying all week, but also as a man, can you speak to that? Like, is it burdensome, like, to have 4 other people that you take care of solely financially. How does that make you feel?
You know, it's one of those type things. I know me and my friends from college, we talk a lot about that from time to time. Never knowing, right, where we were going to end up, what the job was going to entail, the financial opportunity we were going to amass. So can I allow it to weigh me down? Definitely, definitely. But you know, I'm sure you expressed on this. The anchor that we have is in our Heavenly Father. We know that, and as long as we're connected to Him, whatever we have and whatever we're allowed to do is the gifts and the resources will definitely come from Him. So we want to be great stewards of that. So I try not to put the pressure on myself to say, oh, I got to do whatever. I believe that I'm living a life and walking according to His will for this family. And so therefore, it's not a deep pressure on me. So the pressure is just to make sure that I'm doing what's right with the resources that I'm blessed with, because what can happen is there are times you can kind of get a pride and things of that nature. So just staying grounded in that aspect. And so I do a lot of things. We do a lot of talking to make sure that we're staying grounded in that aspect. But at the same time, you know, we do a lot of discussion about the finances, making sure that the things that we're doing are in line with the budget. So we did set a budget. So we just didn't go about doing these aspects of saying, well, you're going to stay home, I'm going to work, and then go, you know, lawless with the finances. We did have to make sure we had clarity, agreement, compromises, and how the money was going to be spent. And so therefore that relieves some of the pressure, because we have a guide, obviously in our Heavenly Father, but also guide in what we've agreed to in the aspect of how we're going to spend the money.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That's absolutely right. I agree exactly with everything you said. And I want to say this too, that this is going to come with a sacrifice. It just is. So whether you're going to sacrifice your expectations for your own life, or you're going to sacrifice, you know, being in the workplace, around the water cooler, having work friends, it's going to come with a sacrifice. This life's for both of us. You know, for him, sometimes he sacrifices, you know, going out and escaping the house, and he takes the kids, you know, to school some mornings, or sometimes he kind of lingers back and asks me if I need help. He has to sacrifice his own self sometimes when he comes home and he says, hey, how was your day? How are you feeling? You know, so even if he's had a hard day, he makes a good point of saying, how are you feeling? How are you doing? What's going on with you? Do you need something different? Right? He stopped and said, hey, let's have a checkup moment. Do you want to go back to work? Is this, you know, and to make sure that I'm doing okay. So there's that part too. You've got to have that open, honest folks, honest communication, intentionality, accountability, right? I have accountability. I can't be home all day. And I know this is going to sound archaic, but to be home all day, I do have a responsibility to do my job and have dinner ready and the house clean and things like that. When you have younger kids, your responsibilities are a little different. Maybe your meals are smaller. Maybe they're simpler, you know, things like, but we're at a different season in our life, right? And so it's a lot to unpack, but I did want you guys to finally meet the happy husband behind the happy wife. You see the smile on his face? He's happy. And we're going to talk more and more about this over time. But guys, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this segment of What Do I Do All Day. Thank you for joining me each and every day that I put content out there. And guys, I want you to remember something. You are loved.